Hi, I'm Kayla Johnson, and I am a holistic health practitioner, and I would like to introduce to you today the new book, 365 Days Later, Telling My Life Story Journal, written by Rebecca Barote and Professor Amanda Andrade, and it was produced by the Healthy Solutions Group. If you're not familiar with them, they do recreation therapy, education, and consulting. So telling stories is something that is so integral as humans. It's so much embedded in our culture. History itself is just stories that have been passed down, literally in the word, his story, stories, just passed down from generation to generation. And so what greater testament to history than a book or a journal like this, especially for seniors who have lived very full, rich lives and have so much knowledge and experience to be passing down to other generations. This generation has lived through so many things, and they have so many interesting stories to share with us. If you know Rebecca, you know that she likes PECs, or the physical, emotional, cognitive, and social aspects and benefits of an activity. And so how does this book, The Life Stories Journal, help with the physical, emotional, cognitive, and social benefits for seniors? Well, physically, it helps with writing, your writing dexterity, your hand and your wrist movement. Emotionally, it helps with emotional expression, telling your stories, with recalling these emotional memories and processing those events, with tapping into your hopes and your dreams, your likes, your dislikes, all of the things that are truly connected to our emotional core. So for cognitive expression, it takes just recalling these memories, thinking back to all those days that may have been 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, maybe 100 years in the past, and recalling the details of each of those events. It also takes the cognition to verbally express them and to write them down, and just to be organizing those thoughts and planning out the structure of writing it down in the journal. Socially, it takes the social experience of just sharing those memories to articulate them to another human being. And not only that, if you're sharing it, whether it's with an individual or in a small group, to be kind of receiving that feedback and receiving that response to your experience, which can be a very social interaction and process. So as an activity, what could this look like? This could look like so many different options. I won't limit you, but I'll give you a few examples just to get everything going, get you thinking. It could be a one-to-one activity with a family member, a friend. Maybe if they're living in a retirement community, it could be with a staff member on the activities staff, maybe a CNA, maybe a volunteer if you're blessed to have volunteers with you. It could be an independent activity just solely by themselves, just for fun. This could make a really great birthday gift, a great Christmas gift to a family member. It can be something that if a resident tests positive for COVID or is in some other way sick or just unable to get out of bed, unable to leave their room or apartment, that experience can be very isolating, especially if they're there for days and weeks at a time. And so I can only imagine having a wonderful activity, not just to keep you occupied, to keep your mind active, but to be socially and emotionally fulfilling, and to be something to look forward to sharing with your friends and your family and your staff once you're able to leave your home or your bed. It could also be for independent living members. If they are part of a story sharing small group, they could be filling this out on their own time, writing out the journal pages, and then coming together as a group taking turns sharing their stories, listening to other people's stories, and giving feedback. If the residents are in maybe a skilled nursing community or a memory care, they may not be able to be filling this out by themselves, or you may not have the staff that it takes to be filling these out individually as a one-to-one activity. So you could just be having a leader open it up and use a page as a prompt in a small group activity, just to be verbally sharing and hearing the verbal feedback from everybody, allowing them to verbally tell their stories without even needing to worry about writing it down. It could be something that is recorded on video too, if the resident is unable to write it down, but they still want to be using it for sharing with family or friends, or just to be looking back on the experience. So lastly, I'd like to just draw your attention to some of the features in this amazing journal. Rebecca and Amanda have very thoughtfully categorized each of the prompts into different sections. So they have the growing years, talking about childhood, family and friends, love and connection, discovery, talking about the twists and turns of life, beauty, excitement and wonder, service and spirituality, more about who I am, and my quotes and sayings. And on each page, they have a section at the top for keywords. So if there are, as you're filling out these pages, you're finding that there are certain keywords or themes or prompts or something that is just resonating with you as you write it, and you want to include some keywords just for a helpful reference at the top, or for whatever way might be helping you with these keywords. There is also at the bottom a section for personal quotes. So if you're the kind of person that loves quotes, that loves to make your own quotes, that loves to have your own sayings, maybe you have an inside joke with your family as a child, maybe you have a funny uncle that had a certain phrase that he would always say over and over again, maybe your grandmother had certain words of wisdom, maybe you have your own words of wisdom that you want to include as a quote, or maybe you're the kind of person that enjoys a quote from a famous author or poet, or from a movie that you love. Whatever it is that helps connect you with this prompt and with the writing that you're putting into this journal. And the last thing that I love about this journal is that if you notice, there are no lines on the journal like you would typically find in a lot of journals. And the reason why I love this so much is because it's not limiting to just writing out words. If that's helpful for you and if that's what you enjoy, then go for it. But the possibilities really are endless on this blank canvas that you have. You could draw a picture if you're an artist. If you like to cut out magazine pictures and make a collage, if you'd like to express yourself in that way. If you have a song or a poem that you would like to write, or that if this prompt reminds you of a famous song or poem that you'd like to add here too. Maybe if you are inspired by this prompt to include a picture of an event in your own life, maybe as you're writing out this prompt, it reminds you of a photo that you have that you'd like to glue in here, or just to put in a paper clip or something, just to include for people to see for reference to that story that you're sharing. The possibilities really are so endless with this journal. There are so many things you can do as an individual. There are so many ways that you can apply this to an activity, to an individual or a small group activity. There are just so many benefits, so many blessings, so much beauty and wonder to be shared with a journal like this. And it makes me think about the diary of Anne Frank and how she never knew that as she wrote it that we would be reading it in an English class all those years later. And maybe I'm just getting too idealistic and getting ahead of myself, but you never know. We could be sharing a Life Stories journal in an English class 30, 40, 50 years from now. Maybe not, but maybe, you never know. So it's worth preserving for posterity and for history, for your story for your family's story. So whether it's for a family member or if you're an activity director and you'd like to pick up several copies for your residents, you can find 365 Days Later, Telling My Life Story on Amazon. Thank you.